you, chairpersons, for the nice introduction. And I thank RSSDA organizing committee for giving me this opportunity. Okay, I will be talking about diabetes, stress, and humor because, as you know, every diabetic is prone for stress, and Sarah has already explained so many problems about diabetes, particularly Indians. So we are all prone for stress also. So I will explain how to come out of the stress. This hall is named after Professor Sam G.P. Moses. He was a great teacher, and I am a student, and he is a teacher to my teachers, Professor Sheshegaru and others. And he is a very humorist, and he used to tell that during olden days, when people had chronic renal failure, they used to go to Vellore for treatment with a lot of money and no urine, and they come out of Vellore with no urine and no money. He used to sell that, and Dr. Vasant Kumar was telling us about individualization of the therapy. So he is the man who used to tell us we have to tailor-made the treatment for diabetics. Okay. That is Professor Sam G.P. Moses. Many of you may not be knowing him. Okay, so what is stress? I won't do much stress on this. I just want to tell, stress can be defined as a response of the body to any demand placed on it. So stress can be influenced by both external and internal factors. Walter Cannon in 1932 first described, he is a physiologist with Harvard Medical School, body's response to stress. So when you are walking alone in the night and someone tries to attack, so what do you feel? Your heart rate will be increased, shortness of breath, increased perspiration, muscle become tense, a whole array of changes occur in the body. So this is, body prepares itself for what to do for the threat, to either stand ground and fight or run away. This is called as fight or flight response. That is the stress response we all know. So Walter Cannon termed this response as fight or flight response. Okay, Hans Lyle summarized stress reactivity as a three phases process. So it is called as general adaptation syndrome. What is general adaptation is, whenever you come across a stress, you will have an alarm reaction in the body. Then there will be a stage of resistance, means you will try to cope up with the stress. And third one is stage of exhaustion. So if the stress is over, if you still out of this stress, but it is stress is persisting, then you will have the stage of exhaustion, what our patients with type 2 diabetes will be having. It is a stage of exhaustion. Long continued exposure to same stressor depletes the adaptation energy and ideas to exhaustion. The alarm reaction reappears, but the resistance phase being absent, individual succumbs to stressor. So as you know, diabetics, they have to take so many decisions every day about their medicines and their treatment and diet and exercise, so many things. So these all produce stress. So, but we have to remember that all stress is not at all bad. We need a stress for doing things. Suppose you want to get into the aeroplane on time, you need a stress. But we need, the stress response or human performance curve is a bell-shaped curve. What they say is, if there is too little stress, our performance will be less. And if you have too much stress, you will be exhausted and you will have burnout. So optimum stress is needed for doing things. So what is the mechanism behind this stress is, what happened is we developed fight or flight response, and that fight or flight response we are using for everything. See, in primitive times, these people, they developed this fight or flight response to survive. But what we are doing now is we are using the same response for trivial things also. Suppose if I want to talk before the public, or if I want to give a lecture, or before doing something which is not comfortable, we are getting the stress response. So what he says is that our brains, the human brain has failed to develop at a pace needed to respond to symbolic stressors of the 20th century. When our self-esteem threatened, the brain prepares the body with the fight or flight response. If the threat to self-esteem stems from fear of embarrassment during public speaking, neither fighting or running away is an appropriate reaction. Suppose if I want to talk before public and this running or fighting is not a good response, but our brain still has this fight or flight response. So we have to change this response. Stress spelled backwards is desert. So we have to take the stress positively. And Walter B. Cannon made the first appeal for the experimental study of how stress affects diabetes, because we know stress affects diabetes. And the potential role of stress in type 2 diabetes was noted more than a century ago by William Osler, a famous physician, and stress reducing maneuvers were recommended as treatment for this form of disease. So we need some stress relieving things to our patients. So what happens during stress? Stress is an important contributor to pathological conditions in humans. Hormonal changes occur during acute and chronic stress situations can affect glucose homeostasis in both healthy people and those with diabetes. So everyone will have problem with the glucose, whether you are healthy or you are a diabetic. So several studies have reported a negative effect of acute stress on maintenance of blood glucose concentration in patients with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. You know, patients will be telling, I am stressed, that's why my blood sugar is not under control. I come across the patients every day who tell that I am stressed. The effect of stress on glycemic control in people with diabetes may be related to a direct effect on the stress hormones. As you know, when you are stressed, you will have release of stress hormones, cortisol, etc., which increase the sugar. And an indirect effect of stress on patient behaviors related to diabetes treatment and monitoring and meal and exercise plans. So if you are stressed out, you don't feel like exercising, or if you are stressed out, you don't feel like observing the diet control, what is advised. So stress plays an important role, not only in blood glucose control, but at the same time, what we have to do like lifestyle modifications. As you know, stress hyperglycemia, the development of hyperglycemia during an acute illness represents another interesting connection between the stress system and glucose homeostasis. As you know, you will be coming across about stress hyperglycemia, where we will ask to do a HbA1c to know whether he is a diabetic prior to this situation. And during a pandemic of COVID, many people developed diabetes. That is also stress hyperglycemia. And a large body of evidence supports an association between stress hyperglycemia and increased morbidity and mortality in critically ill patients. So how to build resilience to stress? We heard till now about stress, how to do that. Prevention. So how to prevent stress? The best thing is decreasing the source of stress in occupational and family environment and increasing the coping skills. So for diabetes, if you take example, we can't avoid the diabetes because patient is already is a diabetic, but we have to tell him how to cope with this stress. And targeted interventions like helping the individual change the source of stress. So by educating him that all diabetes is not bad, you won't have many problems if you control properly. So by proper education, first speaker also expressed about the diabetes education. I too believe that Jocelyn Ward's education is the treatment for diabetes. So if you educate the patient, then he will understand. Teaching ways to adapt to situation without it leading to stress and discomfort. So we have to tell them to how to adapt to the diabetes and its treatment. And whether there are specific coping strategies, that humor, pointing out the amusing aspects of the problem at hand, or positive reframing is thought to help deal with small failures. So if the patient had some problems, we have to use humor and tell him it is natural to fail. Then seeking support, asking for help or finding emotional support from the family members or friends can be an effective way of maintaining emotional health during a stressful period. So it is better to talk to his family members and ask them to support him. And problem solving, as described above, problem solving an instrumental coping mechanism. So we have to tell that if you look at the stressful situation as a whole, it is difficult, but you divide it into parts. So you don't tell him you do exercise today itself, you go for 10 kilometers, or you eat low calorie diet. It's not possible. We have to go step by step. And relaxation. Relaxation is engaging in relaxing activities and practicing calming techniques can help to manage stress and improve overall coping. And physical recreation. Regular exercise such as running or team sports is a good way to handle stress given situation. This may involve yoga, meditation, progressive muscle relaxation, among other techniques of relaxation. And adjusting expectations, anticipating. So we have to adjust our expectations because we can't get a result every time whatever we do. And denial. Suppose if he denies that he is not a diabetic, he will be in problem. And another thing is, if they denies I am not a diabetic and starts eating everything, he will be having problems like overworking, sleeping, or excessive alcohol consumption. These are all due to denial of the problem. And self-blame. And they will think what I did to get this diabetes, like that. So we have to tell them self-blame is not good. And venting. Venting is most common with the women, and they will be telling that all their problems, but it's good up to certain extent, but for the spouse it will be very boring. So what are the changing stress producing how we will cope up with? So we will be dealing with I will be explaining time management, improved organization skills, learning problem solving skills, and changing the physiological response to stress, and relaxation with or without tapes, deep muscle relaxation, other things I will be explaining. So time management is very important for reducing the stress. He says that there cannot be a crisis next week. My schedule is already full. So if you can plan effectively, you won't have stress. Okay, let us see how can we help a diabetic patient. Diabetes-specific approaches that may help individuals cope better with diabetes, including specific realistic management goals. Many individuals set global vague goals that may serve to exacerbate stress. So we will tell them lose weight, and they will think, oh, I have to lose some 30 kgs or 20 kgs. That's not practical. So we have to have a realistic goal, lose first at least 1 kg in 2 months, like that. Then improve glycemic control are examples. You have to control his HbA1c is 12. You can't get it to 7 immediately. It has to be done slowly and gradually. I always tell my patients, don't first try to lose weight, but at the same time, first don't gain weight. If you don't gain weight, you will be having a chance to lose weight. So they will have a power. This target should be attainable targets we should take. And realistic, measurable, and achievable goals, specifically stating the measurement criteria that indicate success, more helpful as motivators. Examples of realistic measurable goals are, I will walk 20 minutes a day and like 3 times a week, and gradually increase that. And I will drink diet cola instead of cola with sugar, and I will lose 6 lbs, I already explained. So we have to do it gradually, then they won't have much stress. And evaluation does not necessarily have to focus on whether a goal is met. So if the patient is having HbA1c of 10, we can't get 6 or 7 immediately. So we have to tell that, oh, you lost, your HbA1c came down by 0.5%, you are on the way. We have to admire them, and we have to tell them you are going to do it slowly. So if you can do it slowly, I always remember my Professor Shesha's words, go low and slow for diabetes control. He will always say that, go low and slow. So even your goal of 1% will be attained step by step. So in summary, research has indicated that stressful experience have an impact on diabetes. Stress play a role in the onset of diabetes. It can have a deleterious effect on glycemic control and can affect lifestyle. Emerging evidence strongly suggests that interventions that help individuals prevent or cope with stress can have an important positive effect on quality of life and glycemic control. So we have to remember that it's not the stress that kills us, it is our reaction to it. So how you react to the stress is important. He worked a lot on stress, Hans Liley, and a recent study out of University of Northern Colorado found that humor within diabetes population has potential medical and physiological benefits. And this is an interesting article. It is in Diabetes Spectrum. What he says that diabetes and humor, a preliminary investigation. So along the psychological side, there is a good bit of research about the use of humor or the benefits of humor, reducing depression, reducing anxiety, reducing a variety of psychological manifestation that people with diabetes tend to experience at much higher rates than general population. We have to remember that diabetics are a special population. We shouldn't say that diabetic, he says people with diabetes. So Green and colleagues considered humor to be extensive and important in the well-being of participants, citing a symbiotic relationship between humor and diabetes control. So what we did was, I got an award for innovations. What we did, we conducted a competition for cartoons. So we used, this is Telugu, and we conducted this competition for diabetes and cartoons, and we put a thing that they shouldn't intimidate the diabetic patient, and it should be encouraging the patient. These are the slides. And in the first joke, she's saying, I didn't bother much on his insulin, but I was concentrating on his insurance. And ants are saying, even though we eat a lot of sugar, we didn't develop diabetes because we walk a lot. Like that, we encouraged, and we had a good response, and around 50,000 people got very good message about diabetes. So I want to tell you about the support, how people do. A woman went with her husband to see his doctor. After his checkup, the doctor spoke with the wife alone in his office. He told her, your husband is suffering from a serious, severe stress disorder. The doctor continued, unless you start the following immediately to reduce his stress, he won't have long to live. First, each morning, fix him a healthy breakfast. For lunch, make him a nutritious meal. Dinner must be an especially nice meal. And second, be pleasant all times and don't burden with chores. And most importantly, make love to him several times a week. And what happened? If you can do these things for the next 10 months, your husband will recover from his stress disorder and regain his health completely and live. So after that, on the way home, the husband asked his wife to tell him what the doctor said. The wife replied, he said, you don't have long to live, because she doesn't want to do all these things, what the doctor said. So this is how the family is just a joking part. And so computer has signed up for our stress management. Even computers are stressed out. And another interesting thing is, many of us during COVID situations, we developed COVID psychologically. When I look back on all those worries, I remember the story of an old man who said on his deathbed that he had a lot of trouble in his life, most of which had never happened. So we assume things they are going to happen, but they won't happen. So this is a stress creator. Just give me a call to manage your stress, a consoling friend. When you are overwhelmed and your worries seem to cloud your vision, reach out for anyone, anything that can help you cope. When you feel stressed out of life seems to be going wrong, when stress engulfs you and everyone seems to be leaving you, when tears flow from your eyes and world seems to be fading away into the mist, just give me a call. I will supply tissue papers. So tissue paper is an important thing in stress. So we have some relaxation techniques and repetitive prayer. Repetitive prayer, what most of us do, like chanting a God's name. For this technique, you silently repeat a short prayer or phrase from a prayer while practicing breath focus. This method may be especially appealing if religion or spirituality is meaningful to you. This is very normal one, most of our elders will be doing. This is effect of Maha Mantra chanting on autonomic and cognitive functions. This is called as Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. They did a study on that, and they found out that the study results highlights the beneficial effects of simple Maha Mantra chanting intervention, reducing stress among nursing professionals with moderate to severe stress. And I do it during traffic and other things that is useful. And this Dr. Herbert Benson, he proved that chanting will be helpful in relieving the stress. And transcendental meditation. Meditation, everybody knows. We did it when we were in Jagrab and we were trained for this. And it says that if you do meditation, it will be useful. And regarding the goals, you heard of this sloka called Karmanye Vadikarasya Nafaleshika. So there are so many factors for you to get victory. So just relax and do your duty and leave it to the God or whatever you believe, nature or something. So this is a great stress buster for us. So what is breath
Sir,
focus?
we are lacking time.
Okay,
So, yeah.
right. Okay, then 1 minute. Huh? Okay, breath focus. It is, as you know, it is called as meditation. We all do that, and body scan. What we will do is this with progressive muscle relaxation. After a few minutes of deep breathing, you focus on one part of the body or group of muscles at a time, mentally releasing any physical tension you feel there, and and guided imagery, imagine yourself in a relaxed place. For these techniques, you imagine soothing scenes, places, or experiences in your mind help you relax and focus. And mindful meditation, this you know, wherever you are there, keep your mind here and not going out. So Dr. Mohan, I asked him what is his way of dealing stress. He does pranayama, meditation, prayer, acceptance of whatever happens in life as Baba's will, means God's will. And yoga and other things, you know that. And many people in my area, they will just watch the TV and someone doing yoga. They don't do it. Unless you do yoga, you will get all the benefits. And I just want to tell about laughter yoga. I got trained in. Laughter yoga is an unique concept where anyone can laugh for no reason to get all the benefits of laughter. So what are the principles? It was named laughter yoga. Uses laughter exercise and yogic breathing. And 10 to 15 minutes of laughter will be useful. And what are the steps in laughter yoga? I will just demonstrate. Just 1 minute, I will finish. Just we will start with clapping. Hey, you can also do that. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Then we will start clapping. Then we will do breathing exercise. What we will do in laughter yoga is we take a deep breath, hold it. While releasing, we will laugh it off. So our stress will go off. So like that. Just can you try once? Just take a deep breath. Hold it, and while breathing out, laugh it off. Again. So, and childlike playfulness. They say that children laugh 400 times a day, but as we become adults, we are not laughing. So we should be like children and laughter yoga exercises. So you have to inoculate laughter into your daily life. Suppose if you want to tell someone, if you want to tell your wife you're wrong, you just laugh and say, you're wrong. And appreciation, you appreciate all the things in your life and you will have a very stressful less life. Like, so laughter, if you use more, and it has proven that it's useful in diabetes control, cardiovascular diseases, and around 50 papers were published using laughter yoga. So heart rate down indicates reduced stress, blood pressure, and other things. So we have to integrate our humor into healthcare relationship and laughing with the patients, spending time with the patient. That's useful. In my area, they say that, oh, doctor is not great, but he will laugh with us and he smiles with us. So if you are smiling, you will become famous doctor. And we published some laughter therapy in diabetes with Dr. Sanjay Kalra. And Dr. Bansi, I asked him how he cope up with these things, so many. He says making time to yourself and regular exercise, meditation, reading, badminton, and his hobby is organizing conferences. So he's not at all stressed. See, whenever you feel you are organizing one conference, you will be tense, but Bansi arranges so many things. So I think he's the right person to talk about stress management. So we are having a group called as Laughter in Diabetes Therapy Study Group, and we organized the first national meet on gelatology in diabetes. And thank you very much. And we went to Sabarmati Ashram and we saw this. And I think the best stress will be you stop the stressor. Suppose if your wife is tell her to keep quiet and don't hear and don't react to stressor. And my daughter is not seeing. So if you are seeing too many videos, that causes stress in the kids. So all these things are useful. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.